Welcome, 2018, your town. It's an exciting year, and we've got so much going on in this community. It's a good place to learn about it. So my first guest today is somebody I've admired a long, long time. I always look at his work and go, wow, I wish I could see things through the lens the way he does. So, Steve Zmak, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me today.
No, I've been your admirer forever and ever, and I love that you share your work with us on Facebook in open view for a lot of us to be able to see things the way you see it.
Yeah, thank you. I've appreciated your comments and all your likes for several years.
So what got you into photography?
I got into it as a child. I think I was always interested in history and looking at all the photography and history books, and I wanted to do that too. I wanted to document the things around me. So I started as a kid.
Did your parents encourage you?
Oh,
or?
yeah, completely. I mean, I got involved with yearbook in junior high and borrowed the school. The junior high had a camera, just a Canon AE1 with a 50mm lens, all manual, and I shared it with another yearbook photographer, and we'd go check it out for recess and lunch and have fun just taking photos of our friends.
Did you have a darkroom at home? Were you able to develop things yourself?
In ninth grade, I took photography, and
Okay.
so used the high school darkroom. And also, it was in Huntington Beach, and we had a really great library, and the library had a community darkroom that was really inexpensive to use, to rent. It was like $5 a day, and all just state-of-the-art equipment. And a lot of really good photographers were always in there printing. So when I'd go there, I'd actually spend more time watching the other photographers doing their prints than my own.
Do people still do their own developing and their own exposures and?
Yeah, analog photography, wet darkroom, film, still alive and well. The Weston Collective, Kim and Gina Weston, they've got a whole scholarship program that gets money in the hands of kids to buy cameras and photography supplies for all the photography programs in our community colleges and high schools.
Are there several?
Each one of them has a photography program.
I didn't
yeah.
realize that. I guess I just thought everybody's shooting with little phones and not paying much attention.
No, you're learning with a manual camera. You're shooting black and white film, and you're doing your own prints in the darkroom. And so the Weston family in this area is really keeping those traditions alive. And I was just reading in Rangefinder magazine that a lot of wedding photographers are going back to the old film look because it has a specific vintage look. And they really, what digital photography did is it challenged the analog photographers, those that didn't want to go digital, but they felt threatened by the digital world. So they had to compete, and they pushed back by really coming up with new, unique, original, advanced darkroom techniques, combining chemicals in ways that had never been combined before. And like, for instance, Jane Olin, Carmel Valley, she splatters different chemicals on the paper and crumples it up and leaves it in the corner in like a window sunlight for a day and pulls it out and splatters more stuff on it. And you get these abstract images that look like a skeletal oak tree or a watercolor painting of an oak tree, and really beautiful. So no, the darkroom and film is still alive. It's really, you have your preference. You can be a digital shooter or a film shooter or combine the two mediums.
Well, my dad was a photographer, and he had a darkroom in the house. And so I guess I grew up with that smell of chemicals because, it was just a little two-bedroom, one-bath house in South Bend, Indiana that had a pretty big darkroom in the basement. And so us kids, as soon as we got old enough, he would put those old 24 bottle beer cases. He put them around his table, and then he would stay up all night enlarging things and getting them just the way he wanted them, and he'd get them through the development phase, and then he'd put them in like the fix solution. And we would come. I would get up at 7 in the morning. My dad would go to the factory, and I would then be in charge of moving them through the last 2 trays and then putting them, remember those old flip dryers where they were curved and it had the canvas over it? That was me from 8 years. I had a lot of burns as a kid, but that was us, and we would because he was the USAC late model stock car photographer, and he would shoot a race on like a Wednesday night and then develop everything, and he'd be back at another racetrack on Thursday. And how he sold so much was to have them just like that, you know, right after the race at like $1 or $2 each. And so it was a pretty interesting life. In the summertime, particularly me, 6 nights a week at a racetrack, sometimes in the afternoon and the evening, from Chicago over to Ohio, up into Michigan, all over the place. So
crazy.
yeah, I was raised with the whole thing. So
that's I would have liked that much more as a household chore than mowing the lawn.
We had to do that too. We had to do all the darkroom stuff, and then we'd have to run out and pull weeds and do the mowing. And oh yeah, we were the latchkey kids, you know, that had to do it all. But it was a good preparation for life.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Steve, you were in Alaska, and you did some incredible work in Alaska. I was looking at it.
Yeah, thank you. That was I was hired by Doyon Incorporated and their tourism division, and they have a lodge, the Kantishna Roadhouse, inside Denali National Park. And there's only 4 lodges in the park and one 93-mile road through the park to get to it all. And it's a 6-hour, beautiful photographic journey. I've ridden it many times. That's where you see all the wildlife. But anyways, they bring me up there to shoot the whole, like the landscape, all the beauty, the guest experience, and then use the photos in their advertising and their website. So I did this assignment for them the first time 5 years ago, and then and that was in the summer, and now I went back for the autumn where the colors are just completely different.
It's amazing. So I was looking. I know you do a calendar, and it's gorgeous. If you look at Steve's images and the way he captures things, it doesn't show quite as well. The colors are not as vivid for you all as for me. But are these available for sale?
No, I'm giving them away promotionally. I've got a stack in the lobby here at AMP that people can come pick up.
Okay. Well, it's a great way to see what he sees. And I guess for free.
Yeah,
so that's even better.
Plug to Printworks, who we partnered on this. They've always produced a calendar every year, and their pressman of 15 years was an amateur photographer. So he always did the calendar. He retired. I've been using them as my printer for graphic design projects for 20 years, and I've just been waiting in the wings to be able to do their calendar. So this is the first year I finally got to do it with them, and their print quality it blew me away. It was better than I expected.
No, it's gorgeous. So thank you for sharing it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You brought some examples of your work, and you said you do the cover for Wine and Travel?
Right, yeah, Wine and Travel magazine. So this is the most recent cover, and this is out in the wine tasting rooms now. But yeah, I do one of these about every year or so, and always a different sort of wine and travel concept to show off our great wine country, which I'm a huge fan of.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm the mother of Grapevine Express, Bus 24. So,
really?
Yeah, that was an idea that Hunter Horvath and I cooked up one night with Ken Rao. It was the 3 of us.
That's great.
After a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah, well, that's been a really successful idea.
Yeah, it's been, it's beyond our imagination. I think there are probably some people wish it wasn't so successful that live out in Carmel Valley.
I don't know, we're bringing a lot of visitors to their businesses.
No, it is. And, you know, I think when we started, we had 5 tasting rooms in Carmel Valley. They were all struggling. They were the pioneers, and nobody knew they were there. And now it's on the map. So it has worked out really well. And
Huge
of course,
number of tasting rooms there now, yeah.
You know, there are more in Monterey, and Carmel has expanded a lot. And Marina's got them.
Right. Paul Davis Drive. Yeah, 5 wineries there now.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah,
so,
we get our urban wine row first Saturday of the month.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really a way to put the whole region on the map. And, you know, that's really what you want. You want to spread tourists out and to do that. And you do a lot of that with your work because you awake people to the possibilities of what they can see.
Yeah, I'm going to be photographing the River Road Valentine Passport Weekend. I think it's February 10th. And this is going to be the first year where I'm going to shoot all like the festival around in the winery, in the vines, and shoot it with a drone.
Perfect.
And I'm hoping to get like everyone's attention, like a huge group photo, everyone looking up, holding up their wine glasses to the air and getting that shot.
That's good. Well, we'll give it a big plug on the Business Council's Facebook and on our social media so that people get out there. So
yeah, and that's my River Road. I think that's the real treasure zone for our wineries. Those big vineyards on the Santa Lucia Highland Bench, and I love to taste the wine where it's grown. You know, that's something special, and where it's made, and the winemakers there.
yeah. Well, I lived in Italy for almost 7 years, and so we were, you know, the back of our apartment overlooked a vineyard, and my kids played there every day. So it's kind of I had no concept of any of that coming from South Bend, Indiana, until I went to Italy. But then we were totally just enhanced our view of the world of how wine can be and how vineyards can be. So yeah, it's a pretty amazing thing. So what's your next project?
Well, I'm planning a trip to Oregon, so the breweries in Portland, the wineries in the Willamette Valley, and then all over the Oregon coast, especially as huge sand dunes just north of Coos Bay I'm looking forward to photographing.
Is that something that you do and then afterwards you look for a market for it, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So I license a lot of my work. So winery, vineyard photography, brewery photography. So it's a less expensive alternative than hiring me for a full assignment. If they only need a couple images, they look through my library online and find what they need for that ad or that billboard or that website.
Do you find more and more people are finding you as they are expanding how they want to advertise and market?
Yeah, I've got my website's really well done for search engine optimization, and I can do the updates myself, and I tag the images really well. So you put in Monterey Vineyard and just all kinds of my stuff comes up. Just putting in like Big Sur gets a little bit more competitive.
Yeah. Everybody wants to shoot that and thinks they're the best at it, right?
Right. But yeah, a lot of businesses, they'll license the photos and they'll go and get the printing done. And so they'll do big mural-sized prints on the office walls and stuff like that.
That's good. I can't remember where I was. I was someplace in the Midwest, and there was a huge piece. I mean, like 6 feet by 8 feet of vineyards, and they could not remember. The young woman who was working there couldn't remember who did it, but she said it was Monterey County Vineyards.
Interesting.
And she said the owners of her office had been here.
I know who. I bet I know. I bet it's Kirk Kennedy.
Okay. Anyway, and she said they had been here and they fell in love with this and worked to get it. So, but it was just eye-popping to see it. So.
Yeah, Kirk was one of the first photographers when digital photography came out and wasn't very high res yet. He was one of the first photographers to take a landscape in all these portions and tiles and build a huge high res mural image out of 100 different shots. And I bet, has a great ag collection. So I bet that was him.
And speaking of ag, I love the pictures of the row crops and, just some of the things that people capture. It's amazing. So I wish I had the eye that you have, because I think if I'm jealous of one thing in life, it's probably all of you photographers that have so much skill, because I can look through the same thing and mine is going to be like, why did she take that?
But it's also, it's practice too, and it's having a vision for the kind of photography you want to take by being exposed to a lot of other photography and then chasing that down of how to do it. And then just keep practicing and keep experimenting. So, it's a lot of time towards it. But now, with everybody as a photographer, and it all starts with just capturing your moments, capturing your memories, and that's how it starts for everyone. And I think that's the most important thing about photography is capturing how you felt in that moment. And you can pull out a photograph from your photo album, from 40 years ago and look at it and feel like you felt back then. And I think that's the real magic of photography.
Hal and I had our 50th wedding anniversary a year ago, and we had a small dinner party of friends that we'd had for years. And my daughter said, "Mom, you don't have a picture of your wedding." I said, I have no idea where they are. She said, I think I do. So she went in the attic and rummaged around and came out with the wedding party picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet I hadn't looked at that picture in
Yeah.
10 years. It was in a box somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you're right. It does, you look at it and you think, this is what I did with that person.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I love that one. This
Yeah.
is, you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's kind of an amazing thing. Tom O'Neill's a good friend of mine, and
Mm-hmm.
he ended up shooting Andrea's high school photos, which
Mm-hmm.
is how we met him, and then he did our family, and he just did my granddaughter's high school photos. But he made me laugh because when we were out doing the photos of Katie, my daughter had her cell phone. And she said, Tom, would you just take one picture of all of us on my phone so I can, you know, put it up? And he's so funny. He goes, oh, how I hate you. And it has changed, like a lot of people. But I think it's what you say. It has also raised everyone's awareness of what good photography can be. And that you may take photos all day long, but that there's really a place for a professional.
Yeah, and a lot of those, you know, we all start as amateurs and we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until we reach that pro level. And some people, amazingly talented, they stay amateurs. They, you know, they've got other careers, other interests that they engage in. But that's, the label professional or amateur has nothing to do with the quality of the artist.
Yeah.
You know, amateurs, you know, for the love of it.
So let's give a plug. What's your website?
SteveZmak.com.
Okay, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, Steve, Z-M-A-K. I guess that's the more challenging part of it, yeah.
And people can go online and then contact you if they find an image that they like.
Yeah, it's a huge photo library of, you can look through the fine art galleries, the commercial galleries, aerial work, ag work, education, urban, streetscape, seascape,
Is there
wildlife.
anything you don't like to shoot?
Weddings. I do event coverage, and I always enjoy that. You know, every event, you know, even though it's the same dinner party with speakers and awards, because it's always a different organization, it's always a different evening and always a different dynamic, and I enjoy it and even hear inspirational speakers at these things. But a wedding is... everyone's emotions are running very high. It's high stress, high expectations. You never answer to just one client. Every family member is a client shouting directions at you. And it's not fun photography. I enjoy all the other photography, but not that. And I have friends who live for it. You know, I have one couple. He's a photographer. She's the assistant. They've shot hundreds of weddings, and they sort of relive their own romance every wedding they go out and photograph.
Wow.
So that's really fun for them, but no, it's not my thing.
Yeah. So stevesmack.com, and they can look and see a treasure trove of the life of all of us through your eyes.
Yes,
so
right.
Thank you for sharing. So don't go away. We'll be back in just a minute. This is your town. Thank you.